Your photographer narrator, Fred Rackle. It's almost a month following the Kilauea eruption, and we have signs of activity about 30 miles further along the Kilauea Rift, which is laced with the underground plumbing from Kilauea. Much of the sparsely populated Puna area had been... Now we look closer back up on the hill above town. We see an increasingly dismal sight. Though the town itself has not yet been covered by lava flows, it has been hit hard with cinder, thrown high by this now giant fountain, and with the new height and fallout threatening, every bulldozer in the area is mobilized to build the highest dike yet attempted, in an effort to change direction of the expected overbearing flow from the vent. The valley floor now has flows over flows, and all that volume could create a new, heavier flow to come in on the town from the side. We see at night this beautiful but threatening fountain at 1,500 feet, and it is now throwing forth a heavy new flow coming directly in toward the town and the newly constructed dikes. Now it's rolling over the dikes and moving in on us. There's no hope for our village now, as we see the high wall of lava moving in on our flank, into the backyards of the town, here into shed and chicken hatching areas behind one house. This is to become a night of terror for the people, most of whom had been evacuated by civil defense workers. Many of the backyards are first to burn, then into housing. Several other photographers and news people are here to record this momentous event. Over 20 homes and stores are to be burned by lava in this one evening. This is a record-breaking eruption in number of homes and productive farm properties destroyed. Look at that giant lava fountain, only 200 yards from the rear, pumping away with volume that appears will never stop. You'll notice in some scenes firemen pouring water onto the burning homes, almost looking like they're trying to put out this giant volcano. Well, no, they're under orders to keep the hoses going, enforcing regulations and direct continual effort to save any and all property. Does seem a little silly, though, doesn't it? More houses burn, with the firemen not giving up, and the lava moves down Main Street. The sides from the rear and the impact of the flow is overwhelming. Another home goes as the fountain pumps on, feeding this destructive lava flow. Here's a town garage and service station. Certainly not much of service now. Note the ironic no smoking sign. Ha-ha! Yours truly had the distinction of rescuing a little calico-colored kitten from this house just before the burning. It was terrified and clung with claws to my jacket. Yet another house goes up in flames as we watch and record all of this drama on film for posterity. What a night of terror this has been. Lava moves on up the hill, which slows it down a little, but it gets there. These two-story buildings are fired an hour later. We hadn't thought the lava would come this high, but as flows overran flows and lava filled the lower area, it had to go somewhere. These 5 two-story buildings are destroyed in 1 hour as we watch. As we filmed this area, by the way, we were being bombarded with heavy cinder and lava bombs thrown over by the now closed fountain. Got pretty scary for a while. By morning, we'll see now what very little is left of this once pretty little town. Just a few remaining stores that we see, looking down from the cinder-covered hillside, and this Shell Station store. As we pan to the right, there's nothing left of the rest of the village. The town has been buried under the lava flow except for this one little house at the edge of the now hardened flow. We wonder if it was saved by those firemen. The fountain roars on, and look at the broad base now, almost as wide as it is high, putting out more and more volume as the days go on. Bulldozers are out again, and still trying to fool Madame Pelli by building dikes in an attempt to change her lava flow routes. The flow is covering new land just south of where Warm Springs was buried a few days before, and now the property of the U.S. Coast Guard station is threatened. You'll notice the lava flow has no regard for the keep out sign. On we go across the road and panning further across the field. The flow is starting a new southerly direction, covering land that we'd not thought would be so affected. Road junctions and mileage markers are hit, and yours truly is having a ball skipping around the outskirts of the lava, getting good scorching close-ups of the different parts of the flow. And I'd sort of forgot where we'd left our rental car. Someone shouted. I looked around, and there I found it. Ha-ha! Let's move that vehicle, or we'll have an exploding gas tank. Got a little careless there, but it did make a little excitement to the film, didn't it? The lady principal of this country school is having conference with civil defense officials concerning the flow movement in this direction, and it's decided to have the bulldozers try another diversion. But not enough dozers are available, and the dikes are too low. They're ineffective. Lava builds higher on the other side, forming like a lake, breaks through and over the hastily constructed dike, pouring into the schoolyard and toward the building. From inside the schoolhouse, the principal looks at this wall of lava approaching. This lady was a child student in this same schoolhouse, later a teacher, then principal. This really must be hard on her. There's no stopping this luminous flow now as it moves across the end and in upon the schoolhouse, touching it off, and soon the school is burning. Gone now, leaving only the remains of twisted lava-covered wreckage. Back at the Kapoho action, we're seeing this lone planter's house at the upper end of the valley, and we have now a new outbreak at the base of the huge cone. This is pouring a large volume of pahoehoe lava onto the west end of the valley, which till now had only been affected by fallout of cinder and ash. If this keeps up, we'll have new lava flows forming at the southwest end of the valley, and more of the outlying farmers' homes will be threatened. With sugarcane here to the left side, the lava moves in on papaya fields and pours first into one of the pre-eruption earth cracks. This should dissipate some of that volume of the flow, huh? We wonder how far down it'll go. On further into the papaya fields and wrapping around the hairy plants before destroying same. The planter's home burns, and my good friend Gordon is again recording on film this destructive action. All of this land will be recovered soon. The tree rides in the flow, which is moving around toward town, toward the other farmhouse that we saw earlier. Further yet, we see the flow, the forceful finger of lava, moving over the cinders toward the yet untouched end of Kapoho town, stopping here to fire another planter's house, burning it as we watch. Yours truly moving in here for a picture, and that home is gone. Visitors are now permitted into a cordoned area around the once busy storefront, where not much is left. But this is now a scene of activity as that small lava flow is moving toward the area from above. It's hard to believe the store owners hadn't taken their possessions out before this, but here they are, still moving out. The water tank truck here is feeding the fire hoses of the firemen, yet doing their duty, trying to save property. Again, it seems silly, but that's their orders. To the right rear of that Filipino store, they're working hard to cool the lava as we see the huge force continuing close to the rear, wetting down the storefront. Watch here now as that top collapses. Wow! The firemen go nonchalantly back to work. It's coming closer around the side now. Just look at that giant fountain to the rear. The firemen have to finally give up those.